This Justice Department has encouraged this type of activity because they've yet to enforce the federal law that prohibits protests outside the homes to intimidate justices in their proceedings, which have been happening since Roe and continue, practically speaking, to this day. They really haven't stopped. And of course, the target are conservatives. Some lunatic up in Alaska got arrested, despite, I guess, months of threatening Trump and Supreme Court justices. And what's interesting about it is they're pretending that they can't tell us who he was threatening, even though it's clear it was conservatives. The conservatives, 6 conservative justices on the court, and the Supreme Court, and President Trump. And you know why they don't want to tell us that? Because it doesn't fit with their narrative that the threat to democracy comes from Trump and his supporters, when in fact there's this murderous rage on the left that's being incited, in my view, by the extremist rhetoric of politicians running for office and their media acolytes. Page 2 of this indictment was filed this week. First comment, the excerpts. I'd like to see former President 1. Who do you think that is? And Supreme Court Justice 1. Who do you think that is? Hanging together from an oak tree. Subject, using the N-word. Referencing, obviously, Justice Thomas. I'd like to see you have a real lynching, and I'll donate the tree. And so it just gets worse and worse. I'm not going to read it all because it's all horrible. But this Justice Department has encouraged this type of activity because they've yet to enforce the federal law that prohibits protests outside the homes to intimidate justices in their proceedings, which have been happening since Roe and continue, practically speaking, to this day. They really haven't stopped. And of course, the target are conservatives. And that type of non-enforcement led to an attempted murder of Justice Kavanaugh and his family. That's now scheduled for proceedings in court finally, after being delayed for months as the Justice Department tried to negotiate with the guy's lawyer. We have news out this week further undermining the Supreme Court's. I don't know who leaked it. My guess is one of the left-wing justices or someone close to them. The internal memos of Supreme Court deliberations on cases the left doesn't like having lost, specifically Trump's immunity case. So these memoranda are sent by justices to scope out where they want to take a case, where it's going, what the view of the majority is going to be, what the view of the minority is going to be. Just think of the kind of the back and forth and judicial deliberations that take place. And now they've been leaked out in a way to hurt Chief Justice Roberts, smear Alito, and others, all to advance the left-wing narrative that Supreme Court decisions we don't like are should result in the removal of justices automatically, and attacks on the operations of the court. Remember, the Roe Dobbs decision was leaked out in a way to induce violence and increase threats, because because it was leaked, the initial decision, the draft decision, it confirmed there was a majority to overturn Roe. Well, that could have incited a nut job to take out the majority. And if internal deliberations all of a sudden are going to be subject to leak by leftists who don't like the way cases are going? Well, that's going to impair the operations of the court, undermine the rule of law, because the justices rely on a certain amount of confidentiality when deciding cases. And the back and forth, generally it's supposed to be professional and kept in confidence. If I were a justice on the Supreme Court, I wouldn't even meet with them if I couldn't trust the justices. Say, this is how I vote. I'll send an email. Let me know how the decision is going to be written and I'll participate. I mean, that's where I fear it's going to go. Is that going to make for better court comity? No. Of course, but the left wants to destroy the court. And if they can't disrupt it from the outside, they'll destroy it from within. So it's been an ugly week for the rule of law. It's been an ugly week for the future of our republic. So pray for President Trump that he's safe. Pray for his family, and think about if you work for Trump and your boss nearly gets killed twice. Think of the trauma for you. I mean, and think of the trauma for the rest of the country. I mean, it's upsetting. I know the left loves the idea of President Trump being killed, too many of them, but normal people are horrified. Horrified. It's an attack. And it's an assassination attempt, even unsuccessful, is an attack on our Republican form of government, the rule of law. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.